page 3, עד סוף השמורה מהי כסבר רבי אליעזר. So we have the discussion so far in the previous page about the time of reciting Shema, and they said that the first Tana hold, Rabbi Eliezer hold, that's up to the end of the end of the first shift, the first watch. So just for those who just attend the class first time and they missed the previous classes, so we have a discussion about reciting Shema, which is a biblical obligation, and the question is, for how long you can say the evening Shema. Rabbi Eliezer hold that it's up to the end of the first shift, the first watch. So here is a discussion how you go. A little bit background, there is two different attitude between the Greek and the Romans how they count the night. The ancient Greek count the night by three different shifts. The Romans have four. Romans call it vigilia in ancient Roman, which means they count the night for four different shifts. So here we need to know what exactly Rabbi Eliezer meant, and if he meant one of the two, either he meant 1/3, meaning he divided the night to three parts, or you meant to say one of the four, again you divided the night to four parts. Why he didn't say it clearly and specifically? Maika Savar Rabbi Eliezer. What is Rabbi Eliezer's opinion in regard to the number of watch at night? Ika Savar Shalosh Mishmarot ve'alayla. If Rabbi Eliezer hold the opinion that the night has three different watch, which means that you divided the night to three different parts, and let's again review what we said earlier. It's all Sha'ot Zmaniyot, which means hour, in that sense, it can be 60 minutes, but it's not necessarily 60 minutes, because we count the night from the sunset to the sunrise. So you divided the night. So you either divided the night to three different shifts, three different watch, or you divided the night to four. Soon you see the difference. But in a very basic understanding is you take the night, let's say, just for the sake of understanding, the night starts, let's say, 8 o'clock in the evening, start in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, you take between 6 to 8, it's 10 hours, and now you divided it. Do you divided it to three different shifts or four different shifts? Originally we said that what everyone agreed, originally, it's when is the earliest time you can say Shema, and everyone said until Tzeta Kochavim, until you see the stars, three stars, which is the beginning of the first shift of the Kohanim, the priests in the temple. Now the question is, since you said that that's the beginning, when is the end? The time is crucial in Judaism. So Rabbi Eliezer hold that up to the end of the first shift. So we ask a question, Ika savar shalosh mishmarot ve'alayla leima ad arba shaot. If Rabbi Eliezer hold that it apply to the whole night, the night consists of three watch, so each watch is 4 hours. So he said clearly, explicitly, that the evening Shema obligation up to when? It extends up to the 4 hours of the night. If he hold the other way, that the opinion that the night consists 4 different shifts, let him say that the evening Shema, when is the time that we are obligated to say it? It's extended until the end of the 3rd hour of the night. So why he said, when he used the word watch, he said that at the end of the first watch, and he didn't say at the end of the either 3rd hour or 4 hour. So the answer, they said, Leolam kasavar shalosh mishmarot halayla. Rabbi Eliezer hold that the Laila divided to 3 parts, which means 3 different watch, 3 different shifts. V'hakamashman, here he wants to teach us something very beautiful and deep. He said, the Ika mishmarot barakia ve'ika mishmarot be'ara. We believe that when we are praying or when we are doing any spiritual involvement, there is an effect in a heavenly world and an earthly world. Trace a scenario, you are praying for someone who's ill in New Zealand. You are here in Maryland, United States, and you have a cousin that was not well in New Zealand, and you're praying for him or her. What happened? you use, which called in Greek theology, which means you are praying and you believe that the supernatural power helps someone at the other part of the world, which means you believe that there is a correlation between a creature and the creator, that the creator has the power because his creature prayed to him to be affected, to affect someone the other part of the world, which means is called the theological ability to influence the supernatural power to do something in a different segment of the world. With that in mind, it's a belief that there is a strong correlation between the heavenly world, which we use in anthropomorphic language, in the human language, which is the world above, and our world. It's a strong connection. So in that sense, what he tried to say, it's exactly what the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, said, and I quote, Shulchan Aruch said, ראוי ליראה השם בשעות אלה שהם שעות רצון וזיכרון להתחנן לפני השם על גלות ישראל, כאמור קומי רוני בלילה לראש השמורות. The Code of Jewish Law said in Orach Chaim that in our language it's proper for a person to pray because there is a heavenly some forces above. It's like in our language is like the heavenly forces that can be influenced by our prayer from below, which is a belief that is some strong correlation between the heaven and earth. We, for example, said doing mourners Kaddish that people recite daily. We said it will be peace in heaven and peace on earth. We go backward 3 steps and we said, Oseh Shalom B'Mromar, may the Lord who made the peace in heaven, He created peace upon us. So what does that mean, He made peace in heaven? So the rabbis explains that you see a effect in this world by some entities above, which is, I'm not going there too much in the sense of Kabbalistic interpretation, but the whole idea is that there are shifts, there are watch in heaven. So in back to our subject, he said that there are 3 are watches in heaven, and there are also watches on earth corresponding to them, which means the night on earth is also divided into 3 distinct parts, each of which can be identified by the event that take place in them. So that's exactly what it means. So by the way, he digresses and he teaches that there is a heavenly world and the earthly world that have 3 different shifts. The Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer 3 משמרות והלילה, that we learn in the Braita that Rabbi Eliezer hold that the night consists of 3 watch. ועל כל משמר ומשמר יושב הקדוש ברוך הוא ושואג כארי. And again, in our language, in our human language, anthropomorphic language, we understand that in every watch the Holy One, blessed He, sits and roars like a lion. And again, because he used here a sentence that expresses a lion, that's the reason why he used the word lion. And he said, שנאמר, Hashem mimaro mishag, this is in Jeremiah 25, and he said, the Almighty will roar from on high, and umimon kodsho iten kolo, and from his holy above will send forth his voice. Sha'og yishag al navehu, he will roar and roar over his Lord, which means we're using the word sha'ag, shin, aleph, gimel in Hebrew 3 times. So since you use this 3 times, is want to emphasize in a very clear way that it's expression of sorrow that the Almighty expresses over the not dwelling in the Beit HaMikdash, in Navehu, in his building. It's like 3 times is show a strength, Rashi said. Vesiman ladavar, and the sign for this matter, which is the idea of the heavenly watches. So mishmara rishona chamor noel. So he said here that the first one, chamor noel, when you talk about the first watch, so you have a donkey brayers, which is, again, it's just expression that, like you hear the donkey expression of like beginning of the night. Shniya klavim tzuakim, the second watch you hear the dog bark. And shlishit tinok yonek mishnei imo, the third shift, the third watch, is the baby, the infant nurses from his mother breast. Veisha mesaperet im bala, a woman speak with her husband, which is all expression of it's going to be a morning time. It's like you're dividing the night in its three different signals. Soon you see why all of that important. Ma'ika chashiv Rabbi Eliezer. Why Rabbi Eliezer counting with these signs? Tchilat mishmarot kachashiv. If he counting the beginning of the watch, tchilat mishmeret rishona siman al amali. What the need for the special sign to identify the beginning of the first watch? So it's very auto. So he said it's very simple. You see that it's dark outside, so you understand that that's the beginning of the first shift. Sof mishmarot chachashiv. If you go by the end, sof mishmara achrona lama li simana. So why you need the end of special sign of the end? You see that it's about to the sun about to bug. So imamahu, it's already daybreaks. So conclusion, אלא חשיב סוף משמרה ראשונה ותחילת משמרה האחרונה ואמצעיתא דאמצעיתא. So I want to explain to us indirectly that it's implication for four different shifts, because it's like the beginning, the end, and the middle is divided to two. That's one way to understand it. So Pnei Yehoshua explained that that's is certain expression. We need to know, soon you see the difference if you count it as like we said, it's the Lehavdil, as the ancient Romans for 4, or you go by the Greek for the 3. It's the same idea how you count it. Soon you see the whole implication in halacha. V'baitema, or if you prefer, you say Kulu sof mishmarot krach hashiv. All these signs counting the end of the watches. V'chitema achrona lo tzarich. And if you will object and you say that the last watch does not need a special sign to mark its end. Lemay nafka mina. What is the reason? Lemikre kriyat shma leman degane bebayit afer. So if someone is staying in a house, we see it here in Maryland the past couple of weeks that you have all this storm and hurricane and tornadoes, and all of a sudden you're stuck in a house with a full darkness, nothing, and you don't know what time is it. You want to say Shema, you don't know it's a proper time, it's not proper time, what exactly the part of the night is now. So he said, Velo yada zman kirat Shema imat. You don't know what is the proper time for Shema. Kevan deisha mesaperet im baala. Once a woman brings speaking to her husband, which means that it's getting close to the vetinok yonek bishtei demo, and its child is nursing its father. It means that usually the baby, when they start nurse from its mother, it's usually after the baby spend the most of the night, and they start crying, they want to nurse, usually is the getting close to the beginning of the morning, lakum ve'ikre. So this is the time to arise and recite the Shema. So it means that that's the end of the night. By the way, some of the rabbis explain to us that that's also application to the much higher level, which is the sign of the exile. It's want to encourage us and want to tell us that the exile depends how you look at our history and the history of our suffering or our exile. It's divided to 3 different parts, as Boaz said to Ruth. And in that sense, when you're getting close to the end, you see a light at the end of the tunnel. But we're not going there, just a side note. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel Mishmei derav. He said, this is the name of rabbis, Shalosh mishmarot haveh alayla. The night, eventually Rabbi Eliezer hold that the night hold 3 different shifts. Ve'al kol mishmar o mishmar yoshev HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'shoeg ka'ari. And every watch, the Holy One is like roars like a lion. Ve'omer, and in our language God said, Oy labanim, woe to my children. שבעוונותיהם החרבתי את ביתי, but because of the terrible sins I destroy my temple, ושרפתי את היכלין, I burn the sanctuary, והגליתים לי בין אומות עולם, and I exile them among the world. So what do we understand so far? Rabbi Eliezer has a different opinion when it comes to Shacharit, Tosefta tells us. which means that when it's come to morning, there's a different opinion how you divided the morning. But here, number one, we want to explain that it's at 3 different times, and it's the reason why Rabbi Eliezer didn't mention the 3, because he wants also to teach us the whole concept of a 3 different watch. But it's also expression of God that He expresses sorrow of. It's not just we mourn over the destruction of the temple. God also, in His part, in our language partnership, also mourn over that. Next. Tanya, אמר רבי יוסי, פעם אחת הייתי מהלך בדרך. This is explained by many commentators. It's applied to Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta, who was the Tana, the rabbis that live at the end of the era of the Tanaim. And he said, פעם אחת הייתי מהלך בדרך. One time I was traveling on a road. ונכנסתי לחורבה אחת מחורבות ירושלים התפלה. I enter חורבה can go either a house that almost demolished or destroyed, or a house that have no inhabitants, which means old house that for somehow border house, you see it in downtown, etc. בא אליהו זכור לטוב ושמר לפתח עד שסיימתי תפילתי. Elijah, the prophet Elijah came and he watched the entrance until I finished my prayer. Again, we're not going to the mystical interpretation why it's Elijah. It's just general study that want to teach us something. לאחר שסיימתי תפילתי, when I'm done with my prayer, אמר לי, שלום עליך רבי עמרי. He said to me, peace upon you, my teacher. ואמרתי לו, I respond to him, שלום עליך רבי עמרי, the same language. ואמר לי, בני, my son, מפני מה נכנסת לחורבה זו? Why you enter to this place that it's not so safe, this run down house? אמרתי לו להתפלל. I came here because I need to pray. אמרתי לו, אמר לי, היה לך להתפלל בדרך? While you enter to this spot, you can pray while you travel. ואמרתי לו, מתיירא הייתי שמה יפסיקו בי עובד דרכים. I was afraid that people will bother me, I will not be able to focus, so I entered to that building. ואמר לי, היה לך להתפלל תפילה קצרה. You have to make a short prayer instead of that. And Tosefta comment that it's not applied to Havinenu, it's a short a prayer for sometimes when we are in an urgent situation, we cannot daven fully. It means it's something else. Soon you see. באותה שעה למדתי ממנו 3 דברים. At that moment, I learned 3 things from him. Number 1, למדתי שאין נכנסים לחורבה. I learned that one should not enter a running down house. And there's several interpretations. What does that mean, not entering the running down house? Some say that the idea of running down a house, it's the idea of a person cannot focus while he's praying. The others say that running down a house, it's a reason of shadim. Soon you see what does that mean, applied to all kind of entities there. Number 2, I learned, ולמדתי שמתפללים בדרך. That the person needs sometimes to travel, like we said in Shema, when you travel, ולכתך בדרך. ולמדתי, number 3, המתפלל בדרך מתפלל תפילה קצרה. And I learned also that if you need to travel and pray, so you have to make it short, you have to make a bridge prayer, a short prayer. ואמר לי, and Elijah said to me, Eliyahu said to me, בני, my son, מה כל שמעת בחורבה זאת? What type of voice you heard in this חורבה, in this running out house? ואמרתי לו, and I respond and I said, קול שמנהמת כיונה ואומרת, I heard a reflection of voice that said, like a dove, and said, אוי לבנים שבעוונותיהם החרבתי את ביתי, woe to the sons because of whose sins I destroy my house, ושרפתי את היכלים, I burn my temple, והגליתים לבין האומות, and I exiled them among the nation. ואמר לי, and he responded to me, חייך וחיי ראשך, by your life and the life of your head. לא שעה זו בלבד אומרת כך. It's not just only this time he said, but אלא בכל יום ויום 3 פעמים אומרת כך. And 3 times a day there is a voice from heaven that said it. And what said? ולא זו בלבד, and not only this, אלא בשעה שישראל נכנסים לבתי כנסיות ובתי מדרשות, when we enter the house of worship, ועונין יהי שמי הגדול מבורך, and we respond in the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, or Kaddish from the Shliach Tzibur, represent us, may God's great name be blessed, הקדוש ברוך הוא, the Holy One, מנענע ראשו ואומר, again is in our language, shake his head and said, again we're using a human language to understand a highly concept, אשרי המלך שמקרסים אותו בביתו כך, fortunate is the king who is praised in his house, מה לו לאב שיקלה את בניו, ואוי להם לבנים שגלו מעל שולחן אביהם. The great pain the father, meaning the father in heaven, feel that his son is in exile, and the word to his children that they are exiled from their father's table. It's like several things we learn. First, the Maharsha tells us that the bat kol is like a head, is like a reflection. You hear some voice, you hear some reflections. And the rabbi says that when it's come to Shmi'ah Ruchanit, to the ability to hear, there are 3 different levels. The Rambam explained to us, and I'm just doing the abbreviation. The first level is the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, which called Adon Vihim, the head, the master of the prophets. That's level of like communicating with the Almighty all the times. That's called Nevuah, prophecy. The second level is called Ruach HaKodesh, like Holy Spirit. Again, is some level of prophecy, but a little lower. The third level is called Bat Kol. Bat Kol, again, it's like you hear a reflection, you hear a voice that reflected to you, that said to you something. You hear something from a very high level. Now, Tosefta elaborate on the whole idea of Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah. We said that the value of saying every word in Kaddish properly to express the feeling of Kaddish, and it's very important, the quorum of Minyan that respond to the one who recite Kaddish and said, may his name be great. So there are 2 different avenues to understand it. One is the Machzor Vitri that the Tosefta brought, and the Machzor Vitri is approximately 11th century, 11th century, time of Rashi, that they say that, what does that mean, Yehei Shmei Rabbah? One, it said that may God's name meaning, we said at the end of Parshat Beshalach that the throne of glory has God's name, and the name of God is not completed until everything will settle the way that it used to. So it's like a wishes, yearning to reach a point that the name of God will be completed. That's one avenue. Tosefta disagree with that, and he said it means that the full name meaning the name that of God, which is the way that we see the living God in our lives, will be blessed forever and ever, not only past, but it's also present and future. And Tosefta tells us something very important at the very end, which we see it in all different avenues, that as long as people in exile, they need a current language to understand what's it all about. And since in that time people does not understand Hebrew in full, it used the Aramaic language, so people fully comprehend what's Kaddish all about. So Tosefta said at the very end, ושם היו עמי ארצות ולא היו מבינים כולם לשון הקודש, because in that time, in the exile of Babylon, it was many uneducated people that not fully understand the Hebrew language. So לכך תקנו בלשון תרגום, that's the reason why they use the Kaddish in the Aramaic language, שהיו הכל מבינים שזה היה לשונם, because then everyone understand, and that was their language. So that's the idea of saying Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah. Now we want to go further with that. So they said Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught us in the Braita, מפני 3 דברים אין נכנסים לחוברה. Now they want to explain the reason why one should not enter to a house that is not inhabitants. So there are 3 reasons why you not do it. Number 1, mipnei chashad. It's a fear that suspect that you're entering there because there is a prostitute waiting that's inappropriate, or mipnei amapolet, because of danger. You go to a collapsed house, it's a danger that something happened and the roof will fall on you, or mipnei mazikim, because of danger of the demons. What does that mean, demons? So not long ago someone showed me a story about a Saudi sheikh who bought a very big unused palace in England. You know, they have this attitude that they want to buy more and more European occupied Europe. So he bought this type of huge unoccupied old British mansion. And then again, you can take it or leave it, but that's what the article said, that his wife noticed she went at the middle of the night down to drink coffee or to drink something, and all of a sudden they see the teenager daughter sitting in a kitchen. Okay, fine, she saw it, and then she went back to her room and she saw her daughter sleeping. So again, you can take it or leave it, but it's like a belief that it's called shadim. The rabbis tell us that it's no longer in Eretz Israel, but outside it's possible. Again, you can take it or leave it, but the whole idea is that it is a dangerous area of which we call here demon. מפני חשד ותיפוק למשום הפולת. So now the rabbis ask a question: why you need all of that? If you said that you suspected that somebody waiting for the person, so let the prohibition against the entering the room be derived simply for the concern for the danger of collapse. So why the Braita find it necessary to mention an additional reason of suspicion? Again, you have one reason, you don't need the whole three reasons. It's enough one reason, it's incorporate the others. But the same apply the other way, betray. So if the reason of suspicion is relevant in the case of two. So Rashi here explained, and he said, he used the word keloma, and I mentioned that I wrote a book explain what's the keloma in Rashi. But in general, Rashi want to elaborate why you need all these three, each individually, for what reason. You have one reason, it's enough, or one combined with the other. The same the Gemarah said here, Ibetrei chashad name later. If you are speaking in the case of two men entering the room together, is there no suspicion of either? Which means usually if you have two people enter some domain, that it's dangerous, a different feeling. Betrei upritze. So it's if you have the two people that they are really people not suspected of certain behavior different. But here you talk about the case of two men of low moral character, right? Or the other way around, if you concern about the collapse, but then the prohibition be derived for the concern for suspicion and demons. So why that the Gemarah here explained that the danger of collapse? So they say betray uksher. You talk about two people that you don't concern about their moral character. מפני המזיקים, the reason of fear of demons, ותפוק להם מפני חשד ומפולת, but let the prohibition be derived from the concern of suspicion, a danger or collapse. So the answer is בחור וחדתי ותרי וקשרי. I just give you the abbreviation because we're running out of time. So basically they said we need each and every reason because each and every reason concerned with something. So I want to wrap up what we studied so far because running out of time. So I just begin the next Braita and then we put it together. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbi is taught in a Braita, Arba Mishmarot Ve'alayla. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Nasi hold that there is a 4 different watch at night. Rabbi Natan Omer Shalosh. Rabbi Natan said that there are 3 watch, each 4 hour long. 4 hours we said is maniyot, but it's basically in our simple way it's 4 hours. Rabbi Natan give a reason for that, and by the way the halacha according to him. Dichtiv Vayavo Gidon is a story about Gideon in a Tanakh. He brought 100 men the time of war with him at the edge of the camp. Rosh Hashmoret HaTichona, the beginning of the middle watch. Tichon in Hebrew, in the middle, it's like you have a schooling. You have the beginning schooling, the elementary school, then you have the schooling at the middle, and then you have the advanced schooling, which in our language here is called college. So in the middle it's called Tichon. Tana and Tichona ela shesh lefanei achrei. Tichona, middle, has to be applicable that you have something before and something after. ורבי מהי תיכונה? So our Rabbi explained the middle. Yes, אחד מן התיכונה שלו בתיכונות. He said, as soon you see from the book of Psalms, that in the middle you have also two different segments, because he brings from the book of Psalms that said, אמר רבי זריקה, מה יתעמד רבי? אמר רבי זריקה, אמר רבי עמי, אמר רבי יהושע בן לוי, name of rabbis, כתוב אחד אומר, חצות לילה אקום להודות לך על משפטי צדקך, and one sentence said at the midnight I will arise to thank you for your righteous judgment, and another sentence King David said, קדמו עיניי השמורות, my eyes preceded the watches. So it means to say that in one hand he said in the middle of the night I wake up to thank you. Another one he says that my eyes preceding, he used the word watches in a plural, so it has to be, according to Rabbi, 4 different shifts. So in very short we wrap it up. Rabbi Eliezer hold that the night has 3 different shifts, like the way Rabbi Natan said. The reason he didn't mention the 3 in a sense of 3 hours, and he said just the end of the first shift, he wants to teach us, he wants us to elaborate and teach us that they are heavenly and earthly. But also we learn about the whole idea of the importance of timing, the importance that when we are praying is a fact, not only here but in a sense in the world above. And also as a side note, we have this Torah portion of Vayetchanan. The Torah tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, prayed to God 515 prayer. Vayetchanan is Gematria, a numerical value of 515 prayer. And until he reached a point that God told him, enough, do not pray anymore, because that's the way I planned it, that if you pray, everything will change my plan, which show us that in our language we have the ability in our prayer to influence the supernatural power to change the destiny of a person.
Die.